Hi, I'm Palmonia Gordon. Thank you for joining us on the shift today. Today, I want to talk about transition. Transition in our lives, transition in reality, transition. What is it and how does it affect us? And most importantly, what can we do to handle it? My name is Palmonia. Thank you for joining us on The Shift. The Shift is a program that's designed to, as it says, simply help individuals find their truth, their talents, their passion, who they are, but most of all, somebody to connect with. We share that through our stories. You get to share my journey. We share our journeys together, and hopefully we can grow and encourage each other. If you don't know, I'm also known as the acronym lady. That means I like to take a word, I like to break it down into an acronym, and it makes more sense so that I can understand it. Transition actually means a place of rest. It's a place where you go to change, to transform, to become new, to renew, to create something else. And I find that over the years in my, short journey, I've had many transitional points. I didn't recognize what they were. I didn't have that special name for them. I used to say it was just my place to go exhale. It was just that place where I had to go to let it out so I can breathe, especially if I felt like I was stifling and oh my God, that's it. If I went under one more time, that would be it. So transition, I broke it down to mean it's a time required to allow for the necessary strengthening internally to totally impact the ongoing new you. Because transition is kind of like the butterfly going through its metamorphosis. When the caterpillar eats and then it goes into that transformation stage, it comes out as something new, something different, something a little bit better than it was before. So when we go through transition, that's what we're hoping to create, that we're going to be coming out as something better. My favorite transition place is, when I go up and I meet with my daddy. That's what I call my heavenly source, my father. I go up and there are times I just curl up in his arms because I don't understand a lot and I can't put sense to it. But it gives me a sense of comfort to know there's somebody there that's bigger than me that I can give it over to for a minute. For some of you, it may be a spouse. It may be a best friend. I don't have a spouse. I'd love to have a spouse where I can come home and, say, baby, just hold me for a minute. Because for sure that, could take away some of what I may be feeling or experiencing at that time. I'm going to share a story with you of a transition that is happening in our world a lot today. I've often told you that I have 5 kids. Not sure if I've ever said, but I had 4 biological boys and 1 girl. But now I have 3 boys and 2 girls because my big son went through a transition. And the thing with transition, when people go through transition, it doesn't just affect them, it affects you as well. Because for me, I'm going to be honest, because on here, on the shift, we talk about our truth. At one point, I prayed and I said, God, I'd rather you take him home early than for me to have to watch to see him go through this. But I also knew that God has a ministry that he's calling me to. And it's to work with people who are on the street. And when I found out about my son and I'm struggling and wrestling, my thought always came back to, how am I gonna minister to people? How am I going to serve those who are on the street if I can't love my own, if I can't embrace it? And I never stopped loving him. Don't get me wrong. I've never stopped loving him. But for the last 20 odd years, I've been a Christian. As a matter of fact, I got pregnant with him while I was in church. And that was a huge blow for me. But that's a transition many families are dealing with right now. I recently moved, and in the area where I was, we were connecting. And I remember sitting thinking, and people are sharing their stories, and I think we had 7 families or homes represented, and 3 of them shared stories of somebody transitioning. And I thought, wow, that's high. So it's a reality of what we are living. And I know the most that I can do is show love and to be open and to be available and to say, no matter what comes, I'm here. Because one of the reality, when I faced my transition of getting pregnant while in church, I was dealt with harshly because people thought, you shouldn't be seen. You shouldn't, even be where you are. So can you imagine a transition from one sex to another? So I know the world's going to lash out and people are going to talk because they don't understand. And even as I became aware of it, some of the things that my son experienced, came back to me. Because one of the things, he used to cut himself. He used to cut himself a lot. And once I started noticing the cuts on his hand, and he wanted to hide it from me, he started cutting himself on his chest so it would be under the shirt. And I think I'm sharing this story because I want us to be aware of what's happening around us, the people around, and the things they're doing, because there's sign of an internal struggle that we don't even know about, that we can't even imagine. I remember, once he had a tape, his phone, because what I started, I was like, okay, let me check your phone. And I remember this time, I said, let me check it. And he took out the SD card, and he put it in his mouth and he swallowed. Oh my God. So it's just like, okay, you know what? It's almost like, I'd rather die than let you see what's on here. When we started, I could tell when something was off. You come home in the middle of the summer and he's wearing a hoodie, like long sleeve and high neck. So then I knew, because that's his way of trying to cover. Last year, my company sent me on an all-inclusive trip to Atlantis, Bahamas, and I took my 5 kids with me, including him, even though he was already an adult. But it's like, okay, as he had grown and, with all the activities he was involved, he hadn't been doing family vacation with us as much. And I'm like, okay, let's make this your birthday gift that I'm giving you. And he showed up as, girl, fine. We got there. But I remember, and I think I'm sharing this because it really struck me that day. We were in the restaurant, not sure if we were having breakfast or lunch. And the waiter, he wanted something to drink. And the waiter brought it. I guess I should say she. My mind just goes, I guess I should say she brought it and gave it. And said, here you go, ma'am. my Lord, she blushed. It's like, oh my gosh, and I looked at her and I goes, he made your day. And she is like, yeah, because I guess also part of the struggle is, I guess, feeling who you are, and people seeing you and accepting you for that. And I remember at one point, I'm always saying my son, my son, my son, and I could tell he was getting agitated because we were still in the restaurant. He goes, Mom, I know we haven't had that conversation, but could you not call me your son? And as you can tell in my conversation, I still do. So that's another transition I'm gonna have to go in to change my language, because transition is about change. So I guess I'm gonna have to, go through that change. And it's been difficult because I know my second son, the one that follows him, I remember when, he heard when we found out. And I remember he just sat at the edge of the bed. He wouldn't move. And he just had tears running down his face. So for those of you who are in your season of transition, whatever it may be, whether it's a family member going through change, I had to transition from being a postal worker to coming into a place where now I had to talk and communicate with people on a different level. All I had to do back then was match the number and the address and stick the mail in and then go drop it in the box. Easy enough. But now I too am in a season of transition. I'm still trying to find out, who is Palmonia? Where am I going? Who am I becoming? And many of you may be there. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my business I'm running that puts me out there, where I'm constantly changing, constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly becoming more, becoming hopefully better. And I do a lot of that through personal development, through reading, through feeding my mind and taking in new information and new ideas. Because you have to, if you think about the caterpillar, it could never become the butterfly if it didn't eat. It had to take in a whole lot of stuff that could transform the natural body that he had. So I'm going to encourage you to take time, because time is required to allow the necessary strengthening internally so that you can totally impact the ongoing new you. That's what you want to do. When you transition, you want to take the time to rest. Some of you may be an activity that you do. Man, I got a lot of stories I can share. Just remember, I remember when I got diagnosed with depression and I didn't want to take meds. And I remember just having the time to go away on a vacation so I could be near the beach and the water, because water is very soothing for me. So take time, find a place, and let it be a positive place. Let it not be alcohol or drugs, because all that does is suppress whatever it is that you're transitioning through. And whatever you're going through is like a plant that's in the soil. It's going to keep coming up, and you're going to have to take some more to suppress it, and it's going to come up, and before you know it, you're going deeper and deeper. So make sure you get something positive. Reach out to me. Go to my website, palmoniagordon.com, spelled just like my name. Get the free download. Connect with me. We can work together. We can transition together. But most importantly, we can shift together. And shift, to remember, it's like the hand on the clock. You have the hour, the minute, and the second hand. Second hand does this every second. But after it does it 60 times, the minute hand does it once. Goes around, Then eventually you have this does it 60 times, so it becomes an hour. So transition to shift is simply just making little, tiny, insignificant moves slowly, slowly, slowly. And then one day you're going to wake up, it's like, oh my God, I'm here. I got here. And then you can help somebody else to shift. I'm Palmonia. I'm your girl. I love you. Thank you for stopping by. Please share this broadcast. Please remember to subscribe. Please like and go to the website, and see you again tomorrow. I love you. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. And remember, your transition is taking you to a place to become better, to become a brand new you.